So in that game as well, what's going on with Tyler Van Dyke? Because, I go back to the
He
A&M
doesn't see
tape.
it. He doesn't see it. It's frustrating. Big arm, moves okay in the pocket for such a big quarterback. He's got, physically looks the part, can drive the ball like as well as anyone in this class and most classes. Make some throws where you're like, damn, this guy's got it. There's a chance that he gets in the right system in the NFL and winds up being a better NFL player than even college player. Because even Justin Herbert wasn't as prolific at Oregon in this kind of system and in this kind of team mentality as he has been with the Chargers. So there's hope for his future. But the thing I keep coming back to and I keep seeing on tape, he's locking on to guys, leading safeties or other defensive backs to his throw. And even with that strong of an arm, he's giving guys too early of a jump, and he's not going through progressions as quickly as he needs to. So if he's making one read and he knows where his primary target is, he's just locking on to that guy. He did it. I had him live against Texas A&M, I think it was last year, did the same thing. I've studied because now we thought maybe he would come out last year. So I was studying his 2021 tape going into last season. I studied his 2022 tape thinking he could be a prospect for this past draft class. And now I'm studying this year. I'm just not seeing the progression you would think now in 3 years into starting that you would expect to see from a quarterback. It's just not going the way it's supposed to go. Again, new system, new coaching, things go the right way in the NFL. Maybe he winds up exceeding expectations. But when you got a class like this, right, and he's got all of that arm talent in the world, and we talked about him potentially coming into last year off of his first season at Miami, that Van Dyke could be a potential first rounder. Like he was that talented and that impressive in his first year in 2021. But when you're not progressing the way you need to, and you've got a class that includes Caleb Williams, Drake May, we talked about the top 2 picks likely in this year's class, Shador Sanders, Michael Penix Jr., J.J. McCarthy from Michigan, who I think is very underrated, Quinn Ewers, Bo Nix, and Riley Leonard. That's 8 guys, Ryan. 8 that could go in the first 3 rounds and belong in the first 3 rounds based off of the tape this year. So it's, if you're the 9th quarterback, you're talking about day 3. And Van Dyke was projected coming into last year as a potential first-round pick. That's the lack of progression that he has shown.
Yeah, look, the last pick against North Carolina, I was like, what are you doing? And I just think even it was the end zone pick, so I don't know which number it was against Georgia Tech, but
yep.
He had a receiver, and I think it might have been on the seam to the left side. I mean, it doesn't matter if it was the outside receiver, the inside receiver, but it was so clear, like, hey, guess what? When you make that throw, a safety's coming over from the other side. Like, he doesn't have to go deep.
Yeah.
He only has to stay within the boundary. And it was just surprising for a guy that's had as many snaps to do some of that stuff. Granted, everybody's making mistakes.
Those horses and like horse racing, not the goggles, but the blinders, right? They put the blinders on.
You're the horse racing
guy.
They
struggle with like other horses that bother them when they see him coming in the peripheral right and left. It's like he has the blinders on. Something like they put those little blinders on, and he's just that's my guy. That's where I'm going with the ball. My arm's stronger than every other quarterback you face, and I'm just going to drill it in there. And that worked in high school, and it worked his first year before coordinators got a beat on who he is. And then you come back year 2. And coordinators, I mean, they sit there and study the tape over and over again. Hey, shit, if he sees his primary and that's where he's supposed to go, and he based off of the initial read, all week in practice they're drilling. Let's show him this cover 2 shell. Let's show them the single high shell. Pre-snap, post-snap, when his eyes go there, you better be creeping early and then bolting. And that's what we're seeing. They've adjusted to what he does, and the blinders have got to be taken off at some point.